Eggs are a great source of protein and fats, and they're easy to prepare, which makes them a great addition to any long-term food storage. While store-bought eggs require some refrigeration because of the washing process that they go through, unwashed farm-fresh eggs can last a couple of weeks unrefrigerated. This is because they still contain that outer coating, or the bloom is what it's called. Our chickens are working overtime and are producing more eggs than we can eat. And because of this, we run a batch of eggs through the freeze dryer once or twice a month. Now, even though these farm fresh eggs are going to last a little bit without refrigeration, freeze-dried eggs can last up to 25 years, and it doesn't matter if they come from your chickens at home or the grocery store. So whether you have an egg-laying production line at home or you find a great deal on eggs at the store, you can build up your egg food storage quickly using a Harvest Right freeze dryer. In this video, I'm going to go over the process from the beginning to the end and show you how easy it really is to freeze dry, package, and then cook these eggs. But before we get into that, I want to go over a couple of frequently asked questions. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. First off, these eggs I'm making today are raw, and you can do quite a few different foods in the Harvest Right that are raw, or you can do them cooked, scrambled eggs. I don't know that eggs over easy would work too well in a Harvest Right. You'll be able to freeze dry them, but as far as reconstituting them, I'm not so sure how well that would work. Also, with the eggs freeze-dried raw, you can use them for recipes and different things rather than just scrambled eggs. And as far as how many eggs you can do per batch in a freeze dryer, I've got a small freeze dryer and I can fit up to 18 in there. This batch I did today is 14. Most people, quite a few people, have the medium freeze dryer, and you could probably fit 18 to 20 in there comfortably. Now, the final one that I hear quite a bit, and I see a lot of people pre-freeze these raw eggs before they even put it in the Harvest Right freeze dryer. This, to me, it poses a really big challenge as far as keeping the eggs off the floor. It is really hard to transport the liquid in this pan without spilling it over. So in this video, what you'll see is I put the eggs in the pan once they are already in the Harvest Right. Now, you could also put your pans in a chest freezer and fill up the pans in there. That way you're not traveling around. But if you are traveling from the kitchen counter to the freezer with a pan of liquid scrambled eggs, that is just a recipe for disaster. So I choose to do it this way. But it's really up to you to pre-freeze or to not pre-freeze. Pre-freezing does save time with the Harvest Right. It saves you about 6 to 8 hours of the freezing process that it has to go through on the Harvest Right. But I just factor that in. All right, so let's get into the process here. And the first step, hopefully, is self-explanatory, but make sure you wash the eggs. If they are from the store, it's not a huge deal. They've already been washed. But if they are farm fresh eggs, you want to remove any chance or any risk of salmonella. And then what you do is decide how many eggs per tray you're going to use. Like I said, I'm using 14. So what I do is mix 14 in a bowl, scramble them up a little bit, and then take that bowl and transfer it to the Harvest Right freeze dryer. And once I am there, I will go ahead and start the freeze dryer because it takes 15 minutes to get its cycle going. So I'll just start that process right now, or you could start it before you even do the first tray. Then I'll go back and I'll do 14 or however many you choose eggs for the next tray and rinse and repeat, basically. Take that to the Harvest Right, go start the next tray. And then when you have all 4 trays finally put together and poured into the Harvest Right very carefully, you start the process. And what this will do is go into the freezing process. And like I said, this could take hours, at the least 6 hours and maybe even closer to 8 or 10 hours. But once you get to this part, everything is basically just set it and forget it. Your Harvest Right will do everything on its own from this point forward, until it becomes time to check the doneness on these eggs. And there are a number of different ways. I hear people talking about just crumble it in your hand, and if it turns to powder, then it's done. I want to be absolutely sure, because if I'm putting these in long-term food storage and they are going to be sitting there for 25 years, I want to make sure there's zero moisture. So there are a few different ways you can do this. You have the moisture sensor where it's got the two probes, and you just put that in different parts of the egg tray. And if it gives you any sort of moisture reading, you need to put it back in there for an hour or two and then check it again. You also have the temperature gun, which what you're doing with a temperature gun is making sure you have even readings across the board. You don't have any cold spots. If you have some cold spots that the temperature dips quite a bit, then you're going to want to put it in for another hour or two and then check it there. The best way to make sure there is absolutely no moisture in there is to weigh the trays. And what I do, this is the method that I use most of the time. What I will do is take a tray out, take a couple of trays out, weigh them, write that number down, put them back into the freeze dryer, and then set it for an hour. And then I will pull them back out, weigh them again. If it's lost any weight, I'll put them back in for another hour, and so on and so forth until they haven't lost any weight. If they haven't lost any weight from that first hour, I know they are completely dry and they are ready to go. So I will stack the trays up and get them ready to put into Mylar bags or mason jars. Now, packing these is fairly simple, and any size Mylar bag is fine. I think the smaller ones are better because when you open one, you're using 14 eggs. You're opening a package that includes 14 eggs. You're not opening a gallon-sized bag that has 30 or 40 eggs that you need to use. So I prefer to use the smaller bags, or the mason jars are great too. A small mason jar like the one I'm using here fits about 10 eggs in there, somewhere in that range, and you just throw a 300cc oxygen absorber in there, seal that nice and tight, and you are good to go. The Mylar bags, like I said, these quart-sized bags will fit about 14 to 18 and probably even more than that. And again, you just throw a 300cc oxygen absorber in there. Make sure you label this with all the information you can possibly think of, and make sure that the fact that they are raw is very obvious to somebody opening these up. Right now, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but in the future, if you're talking 10 years down the line, nobody's going to be able to see what exactly is in there. So as much information as you can possibly put on the outside, make sure you do that, and make sure it says raw in big fat letters. To reconstitute these eggs is fairly easy. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So a quarter cup of egg mix and a quarter cup of water equals 2 eggs. Now, in this first batch, I did the quarter cup, mixed it up. I let it sit there for 5 or 10 minutes or so just to let it rehydrate a little bit, and then cook them in the pan. And as I was doing this and tasted these, I wanted to actually make myself a breakfast. So I went ahead and mixed up a full cup's worth, so a cup of eggs and a cup of water, which is equal to about 7 or 8 eggs, which is quite a bit. And I used the same process as far as just mixing everything up and letting it sit there for a few minutes. Then I made some toast and some bacon, put some cheese on it, a little bit of pepper. It was a really good breakfast. So the eggs taste exactly like they would whether you're talking about fresh out of the refrigerator or a freshly opened Mylar bag, whether that's 5 or 10 years down the line. It's going to taste fantastic. And as I said earlier, you can use these in different recipes that call for eggs. And eggs are just a great source of protein, and they're diverse, and most people like eggs. So eggs are just something that if you do have a Harvest Right freeze dryer, I suggest, anytime you find a deal, or if you have your own chickens, freeze dry as many as you possibly can, and then just put them away in storage. It's going to be a great option in any sort of emergency or disaster. So that's it with this video today. Just a quick, simple one. It's not really that hard to do eggs in a Harvest Right freeze dryer. I'm going to be doing a few more videos. I've done, I think chicken is my favorite thing to do in the Harvest Right. Tastes absolutely fantastic once it comes out. But I'll be doing a lot more of these. If you have any questions, like I said in the beginning, make sure and leave them in the comments below. If you have any ideas on what you'd like to see freeze dried, or have instructions on freeze drying certain products, let me know in the comments below as well. But that's it for this video, everyone. Appreciate you joining in. If you like the video, make sure and subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified anytime we do more videos. But take care and prepare, everyone. We will talk to you all later.